What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. So I know I said I'll be back on Sunday after the Rangers game with reaction, but I thought I'd do a generalised video today, and that is who I think is fully responsible for the failure of the Champions League this season, of getting into it after the defeat to Kairat Almaty last night in the Champions League qualifier. Who I think's to blame, percentages, who I think is responsible, who needs to go, that sort of thing. So I'll start with the players. The players, I would say at least 25%, 20% to 25% is the fans. The fans have no fault of this at all. It's the players. The players, 20 to 25% is down to them. I think they were disgraceful last night. I think that they looked like they couldn't be asked, some of them. I think some of them have been there far too long. I think some of them are just simply not good enough, which is not their fault. I agree with that. You know, people like Ralston, Forrest, Yang, Ida, you know, they're not Celtic players, or they're not up to the standard quality anymore. Like in the case of Forrest, you know, he's been a Celtic legend, you know, but he was horrendous last night, hiding behind players. Couldn't run, couldn't get the ball, couldn't do anything. You know, he's appalling, absolutely terrible. Yang was just horrendous. You know, Yang, it was the same performance from Yang like the cup final against Aberdeen. Absolutely awful. You know, those types of players who are simply not good enough. You know, they tried their best to a certain point, but they're just simply not good enough. Then you've got the experienced guys like McGregor, Carter Vickers, Maeda, Hatate, Engels, you know, Benjamin Nygren, Kieran Tierney, all those guys, you know, the ones who you're expecting to dig us out of this hole. You know, they were shocking last night. You know, they're the experienced players. They should know that that wasn't acceptable. You know, McGregor was horrendous. Why does McGregor play every single game? You know, he's not the best player in the team. He's not. You know, people think he's the best player in the team. He's nowhere near the best player in the team. He's actually bringing us down every single year, I think. Every time he plays, it's slow and ponderous. His attitude as well is shocking. You know, last week he came out and said we beat that team, no problem. Well, go out and prove it then. You know, there was no need for him to say that. That was shocking from McGregor. It really was. You know, he's holding us back. He doesn't deserve to play every game. I'll be ironing him out of the team. Personally, bringing another midfielder, a lot younger, who's more physical as well. You know, McGregor lacks physicality. In Scotland, he does the job, but not in Europe. You know, he hasn't got it for European competition. Carter Vickers, for me, doesn't want to be there. I think Carter Vickers has been here too long. You know, he's been a good servant to Celtic, but again, you know, the last season and a half, Carter Vickers has been so poor. He had that injury. I don't think he's really recovered from that. You know, he doesn't look fit to me. But his attitude, again, was shocking last night. Absolutely terrible. You know, getting pushed off the ball by, with all due respect, players who we play against every week in Scotland is just not acceptable. Absolutely terrible from Carter Vickers. He was shocking. Tierney couldn't last the whole 90 minutes. You know, this is a problem. You know, Tierney is a good player, but he was shocking in this game and he was poor last week. And, you know, it's the injuries for Tierney, you know, but again, not a good attitude last night, to be honest. Maeda doesn't want to be here. He wants to go to the Premier League. I would sell him now. Well, no, I wouldn't sell him, actually, because if we sell him, that gives the people at the top of the club a reason to not take any responsibility. Maeda, I don't know what's happened to Maeda, but, you know, he's been in these one-on-one situations in this game, the game against Rangers, one each draw, you know, the cup final as well against Aberdeen last week as well. And he let us down. You know, Maeda is, you know, he's a good player. You know, his work rate's phenomenal. But even his work rate, you know, since the start of the season, Dyson Maeda, he's not been the Dyson Maeda of previous Celtic seasons. I just think he wants to go. I think he's had enough of Celtic and he wants to move on. You know, that's fine to a certain point, you know, but we need to get a replacement. Will we do that? Probably not, because that's what this club's like. But yeah, he was shocking last night. Adam Ida, nowhere near the standards. Sorry, but what did he actually do when he came on? Bugger all, you know. He has no fight, no desire, no passion for Celtic. You know, he's just there to get money. You know, he's a fucking lazy bastard, Adam Ida. He's nowhere near fucking good enough for Celtic. He's fucking shocking. And yeah, you know, Arnie Engels, you know, reverted back to Arnie Engels. You know, we see glimpses, but we don't see it consistently enough. And yeah, the players need to hold their head in shame. That was despicable. It really was last night. So yeah, 20 to 25% is the players. Brendan Rodgers, I think, is responsible at 30%. I just don't think that his head's in it. I think that the situation with him and the people at the top of the club is really affecting the atmosphere around the football club. You know, Brendan came back. You know, he wanted to build his relationship because he felt he let Celtic down the last time he left. After he went to Leicester. You know, he don't change it. He don't change it. You know, the tactics are shocking at times. You know, that was shocking last night. Never changed it at all. I do feel for him in the sense that he didn't have the players to turn to of the required quality. I do get that. But, you know, he needs to think of other ways to win games. I just don't think he wanted... I think he's stubborn. He just doesn't change anything. But yeah, Brendan will be extremely disappointed. He's definitely not going to stay now. You know, if there's any doubt before, he's definitely not going to stay now. 100%. There'll be no contract extension from Brendan Rodgers. Which, you know, is a shame. But, you know, maybe it is best he goes at the end of the season. He may even go at the end of his transfer window. I wouldn't be surprised if Nottingham Forest rang Celtic up today and said, can we take Brendan Rodgers down here to be our new manager? And if Brendan said, yeah, I'll go because this has been a fucking disaster. This Champions League qualifier, I really wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, Brendan needs to take responsibility. I put him at about 30%. But the people I hold most responsible for, at 50%, is the fucking board. I've said this so many times. You know, I've been saying it constantly the last 2 weeks. You know, I've been saying it for the last 10 fucking years at least. These people are a bunch of selfish cunts who don't give a fuck about anything. You know, fucking lazy bastards. You know, they should be getting those fucking players in they're bringing in now. They should have been here fucking 6 weeks ago. They would have helped out, and then Brendan might have been able to turn to the bench and get actual quality on the pitch, hopefully. You know, Balaguisha, why the fuck was he not signed 6 weeks ago? It's fucking outrageous. It really is. This board can kiss my fucking ass, you know. I don't give a fucking shit about them. I don't give a shit about their happy clapping fans who kiss their fucking ass regularly. You know, these fucking cunts that fucking... all they care about is dominating in Scotland. They don't give a fuck about anything else. You know, that's the problem. You know, we've got certain fans who kiss their fucking ass. It's ridiculous when these fuckers don't give a fuck about anybody. You know, the board are a fucking joke. I get so angry talking about the boards because they just do my fucking head in. They really do. They're a bunch of fucking useless cunts who shouldn't fucking be at this club. You know, what have they ever done for fucking Celtic that's ambitious? Fuck all. You know, people go on about what they've done domestically. We have won things domestically in spite of them. You know, they deserve no fucking credit whatsoever. We, you know, have had great players and great managers which have helped us win things. The board have played no part, in my opinion, in that, in my personal opinion. They're fucking lazy cunts. You know, Michael Nicholson, Dermot Desmond, Peter Lawwell, Sharon Brown, Chris Mackay is another prick as well on the board. You know, all these shareholders, why are they not rallying together, you know, and trying to get Desmond out? You know, because he's a fucking twat, you know. He wasn't there last night. That proves how little he actually fucking cares. You know, he's a fucking cunt. He wasn't there last week either. Too busy playing fucking golf on the golf course. I'll fucking grab a fucking golf club and club it around that cunt's head if I had the choice. Honestly, he's a fucking prick. Honestly, don't fucking like him. He's a fucking arsehole. All of them are a bunch of fucking arseholes, and they need to fucking go today. You know, fucking ridiculous the way they're running Celtic. The way that they treat the supporters. Fucking outrageous. They should be reimbursing the fans for that bollocks. You know, they gambled with £40 million to get into a Champions League qualifier, and it didn't work, you know. It didn't work against Midtjylland when Ange was here. It didn't work against Ferencváros when Lennon was here. It didn't work against AEK Athens when Rodgers was here the first time. You know, Strachan, Bratislava, it didn't work, you know. Constantly, all the fucking time, it's them. You know, what do they fucking expect, honestly? They're a fucking laughing stock. They need to fucking go. Would they go? Probably not, because we got too many fans kissing up to them for no fucking reason. What have they ever done for us? Fuck all. And yet people are still defending them. It's outrageous. It's despicable. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching. It's a very disappointing time at the moment. Like I said, the people at the top of the club need to get themselves fucking removed. Until they're deliberately holding us back now. You know, they've always been bad. They really have. They've always been a fucking problem. They've really got to us, got to me now. They got to so many fans now. You know, hopefully people will fucking wake up and actually smell the coffee and realise these people don't give a fuck about them, because they don't. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll do a reaction to the Rangers game on Sunday. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.